Hi there, this is David, and yesterday I played the Live Alive demo, and I'm here to give you my impressions on it, and also discuss the differences between the HD-2D release as well as the original SNES 1994 release. As I previously stated in prior videos, I have played the original version of the game twice now. Once about 20 years ago whenever it was first translated, and again, more recently on Twitch to bring some awareness to the title when the remaster was first announced. As many of you might be aware by now, I was never really a fan of the original version. The plot progression was incredibly obtuse, the battle system janky at best, and each chapter was so decidedly different that there really wasn't any kind of coherency or anything at all tying them together. People, most of whom haven't actually played the game, seem to go on and on and on about how it's so great and some lost hidden gem. But let me tell you, I don't see it. I've never really understood how people can call this a great story whenever it's so disjointed, and it really only some way comes together in like the last 5 minutes of the game. Some chapters are so short that they might as well be throwaways, lasting like 15 minutes total, while other chapters are so long and frustrating that you just want to pull your hair out. So I really came into this demo wondering, what did they change to make this playable in the modern era? The demo allows you to play 3 of the chapters: Cube's Far Future chapter, the Ancient China chapter, as well as the Edo Japan chapter. All 3 of these chapters are on the longer end of the spectrum, so it's no doubt that Square wanted to showcase some of the exploration and varied gameplay mechanics, and it's pretty telling that they're not featuring the present date chapter that takes 15 minutes, or the Wild West one that restricts you to one town and only takes about 30 minutes to beat, or that incredibly annoying near future chapter where enemies level up with you. Instead, they're showing the longer, more varied ones that have on-screen encounters or no encounters at all. Besides the beautiful graphics that you're obviously going to notice straight from the get-go, as well as the superb British voice acting, the main bones of the game do seem to remain the same, with just a few quality of life improvements. Cube's chapter is still essentially a visual novel where all you do is run around back and forth talking to people as slow as molasses in January, but with the added benefit of being able to skip cutscenes if you want to, as well as having a complete map of the ship, and most importantly, a small radar-type minimap in the bottom corner that shows you your next objective. That was my main complaint with the original game. It would just kind of throw you to the wolves and say, hey, go explore these 40-something different rooms and find out where these random people are, and then talk to the right random person to move the plot along, and then continue doing this for like the next 3 hours until you finally reach the end. And while you're now still essentially doing that exact same thing, at least now you know who to talk to, where to go, and you're not bumbling around in the dark like you used to be. The character sprite graphics are well done, and they're really pretty. But at the same time, they're actually kind of jarring too, considering everything else is done in a smooth, hyper-realistic modern way, and then you just kind of have these SNES-era sprites implanted on top of them in the background. And while I do like it, I can understand why some people would be turned off by it. The dialogue has definitely been rewritten to be so much better, and it always could have been the case that the dialogue was this good, but in the past, all we had to compare it to was that unofficial fan translation. For the most part, the battle system has remained unchanged. You still fight on a grid, and you still take turns. However, some nice quality of life improvements are included, such as showing the ATB gauge as well as an HP gauge for you and your opponents. Also, you can now see exactly what each skill does, including if it does low, medium, or high damage, as well as what status ailments it inflicts. That was always a pet peeve of mine in the original, just kind of trying to figure out what each attack did. Battles are still a bit on the slow side, however, at least in the demo, you're just going to be finding yourself using the same skills over and over and over again. You just kind of look at the one that deals the highest damage, use it over and over and over again, rinse and repeat until you win. Even with these quality of life improvements, Ouroboros chapter seems to be just as bad as it always was, and maybe even worse. When you use your Cloak of Invisibility, rather than the enemies immediately just kind of running around confused like they did in the SNES version, they just kind of stand around, slowly look back and forth, then slowly look confused, and then slowly get a question mark over their head, and then, and only then, do they start wandering around. Just trying to avoid one enemy encounter can take over a minute. The password system is still there too, but one little quality of life improvement is rather than just kind of hearing the gong and having to figure out the password on your own, a blurb will tell you what the password is. Also, the game flat out tells you where the traps are too. They are no longer invisible. So well, yeah, there are some quality of life improvements, which do rectify most of my complaints from the original game, especially the radar system. That is great. However, it would also be nice to have some sort of quest objective written down, or like a synopsis in the menu. It's amazing how just a few quality of life improvements can really elevate a game, though I also do wish that they included a fast forward option, such as the one that they included in the recent Chrono Cross remaster. That all being said though, I still do stand by everything that I said before, and if you didn't like the game the first time around, you're probably still not going to like it now. The demo only gives you a small taste of what's to come in Chapter 2. Because I knew what I was doing, I played the original just a scant few months ago, I got through each scenario in about 20 minutes, so the entire thing only took a little bit over an hour for me. With all that being said though, here is my final recommendation. If you've already played the game and you enjoyed it, buy the remaster. If you haven't played it and you want to check it out, buy it. If you were on the fence the first time or you didn't like it, this probably isn't going to sway you either and you're probably still not going to like it. But do think about this, because we all know how Square is. If this game does not sell well, they're not going to say, oh, well, I guess our game sucked, let's try to do an HD-2D remake on an actual good game. No, they won't say that. Instead, they're going to say, oh, I guess nobody wants HD-2D remakes, let's just never make another one. So, because of that mindset, I do implore you to support this release, simply because I want more HD-2D remakes from Square's SNES library, and I am deathly afraid that if Live Alive does not do well, then we will not see the likes of Chrono Trigger, Bahamut Lagoon, Treasure of the Rudras, or Terranigma, and that would really be a crying shame. Well, that's it for my impressions of the demo of Live Alive. This has been David, and if you like this video or want to do here on the channel, please consider supporting me over on Patreon for exclusive videos and early access to my content, heading on over to Twitch for some streaming fun, or coming over to my Discord to chat and hang out. The links to them all can be found in the video description. This has been David, and if you like this, please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a good day.